Lucky American coins. The 1978 United States 1-cent coin, better known as the 1978 Lincoln cent, or 1978 Lincoln penny, is one of those coins that can look completely ordinary at first glance, but becomes much more interesting when examined closely. Millions of examples were produced during the year, and because the coin was part of the familiar Lincoln cent series, most ordinary circulated pieces are not worth anything close to extraordinary amounts of money. However, the story changes when a 1978 cent has a genuine mint error, an unusual die variety, exceptional preservation, or a combination of rarity and collector demand. These factors are what can turn an otherwise common 1-cent coin into a collectible that commands a premium. The 1978 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. The series was created to honor Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and it represented an important moment in American coinage history because Lincoln became the first historical person to appear on a regularly circulating U.S. coin. Before the Lincoln cent, American circulating coins had generally featured symbolic figures such as Liberty rather than an actual former president. The introduction of Lincoln's portrait therefore represented a major change in American numismatic tradition. By 1978, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 7 decades. Generations of Americans had grown up using Lincoln cents in everyday transactions, placing them in jars, carrying them in pockets, and occasionally saving unusual examples. The 1978 cent was produced during an era when the United States Mint was striking enormous quantities of coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. As a result, the majority of 1978 Lincoln cents are relatively common. Yet common coins can still contain uncommon errors, and that is where the collecting excitement begins. A standard 1978 Lincoln cent has a diameter of approximately 19.05 millimeters and a weight of approximately 3.11 grams. It has a plain edge rather than a reeded edge. The coin is made primarily of copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This traditional bronze composition was used for Lincoln cents through 1982, although 1982 was the transition year when the mint changed the regular cent to a copper-plated zinc composition. That means the 1978 cent is part of the final generation of regular-issue Lincoln cents that were struck in the traditional bronze alloy before the later copper-plated zinc era became standard. The obverse of the 1978 Lincoln cent features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials originally appeared on the reverse of the coin and later became associated with the obverse as well. The word Liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's portrait, while the date 1978 appears on the right. The inscription "In God We Trust" is positioned along the upper rim. The reverse design used on the 1978 cent is the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse. This design was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and was created by Frank Gasparro. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., with the inscriptions United States of America and 1 cent around the design and the motto E Pluribus Unum above the memorial. The initials FG, representing Frank Gasparro, appear near the lower right portion of the reverse design. The Lincoln Memorial reverse is historically important because it remained on the cent for decades. From 1959 until 2008, the Lincoln Memorial appeared on the reverse of the Lincoln cent. In 2009, the Mint issued 4 different reverse designs commemorating the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent. In 2010, a new permanent reverse featuring the Union Shield was introduced. When examining a 1978 cent for possible value, the first thing to understand is the difference between an ordinary coin and a genuine mint error. A coin that is simply old, dirty, scratched, discolored, or damaged is not automatically an error coin. Many people find a 1978 cent with unusual marks and assume that it must have been worth thousands or millions of dollars. In reality, the majority of unusual-looking marks are caused by damage after the coin left the mint. A true mint error occurs during the manufacturing process. The U.S. Mint uses highly controlled processes to produce billions of coins, but mistakes can occasionally occur. These mistakes may involve the planchette, the dies, the striking process, or the feeding and handling of the coin. When an error is created at the mint and can be authenticated as such, collectors may pay significant premiums for it. One of the most interesting categories of errors involves off-center strikes. An off-center strike occurs when a blank planchette is not properly positioned between the dies when the coin is struck. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered design, the coin is struck with part of the design missing from the planchette's surface. The degree of off-center striking can vary. A coin that is only slightly off-center may bring a modest premium, while a dramatic off-center strike with a large percentage of the design shifted can be considerably more desirable. The presence of the date is particularly important when evaluating an off-center Lincoln cent. Collectors generally prefer errors where the date remains visible because the date helps identify the coin. If the date is completely missing due to the off-center strike, the coin may still be collectible, but its desirability can be affected. A dramatic error with a clearly visible 1978 date can be especially interesting. Another possible error is a broad strike. A broad-struck coin occurs when the collar mechanism that normally restrains the planchette is absent or malfunctioning during striking. The metal can spread outward beyond the normal diameter of the coin, creating a broader appearance. Depending on the characteristics, a genuine broad strike can command a premium over a normal 1978 cent. A related error is a partial collar error, sometimes called a railroad rim error, because the edge of the coin can develop a distinctive raised appearance. This happens when the planchette is not properly seated within the collar during striking. The resulting coin can have unusual edge characteristics and may be valuable to collectors who specialize in mint errors. Double strikes are another fascinating category. A double-struck coin is struck more than once, with the second strike occurring after the planchette has moved from its original position. The result may be overlapping images, doubled lettering, or other unusual design features. The amount of movement between strikes can greatly affect the appearance and desirability of the error. A dramatic double strike can be much more valuable than a minor or questionable example. However, collectors must be careful because machine doubling is often confused with true doubling. Machine doubling can occur when the die or coin shifts slightly during the striking process, producing a flattened or shelf-like appearance. It is generally less valuable than a true double die variety. A double die is different because it is created during the die-making process. If a die receives multiple impressions that are not perfectly aligned, the finished die may contain double design elements. Coins struck from that die can show genuine doubling on letters, numbers, or other features. The distinction between a double die and machine doubling is extremely important. The 1978 Lincoln cent is not widely recognized as having a famous, universally accepted double die variety comparable to some of the legendary Lincoln cent errors from other years. However, collectors may encounter minor die varieties, repunched features, die deterioration, and other unusual characteristics. Not every variation is rare or valuable, so authentication and specialist research are essential. Another area of interest is die cracks. A die crack develops when a coin die begins to deteriorate or develop a fracture. As coins continue to be struck, the crack can transfer onto the surface of the coins. Depending on the size and location of the crack, collectors may find these coins interesting. A dramatic die crack can add a premium, particularly if it creates an unusual visual feature. Die clashes are another possible mint-made phenomenon. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies come together without a planchette between them. Portions of one die's design can be transferred onto the opposing die. Coins later struck by the damaged dies may display unexpected design elements. Such pieces can be collectible, although their value depends heavily on the severity and authenticity of the clash. Cuds are related to die breaks. When part of a die breaks away, coins struck afterward may show a raised, blank-looking area where the broken portion of the die was missing. A large cud can be visually dramatic and highly desirable to era collectors. One of the most important points for anyone searching for a valuable 1978 penny is that the coin's condition matters enormously. Two coins from the same year and mint can have dramatically different values depending on their grade. A heavily circulated cent with scratches, dents, stains, and wear may be worth only a small amount above face value, while an exceptionally preserved example with strong red color and high certification can be worth significantly more. Lincoln cents are commonly described by color designations. Brown coins are generally identified as BN, red-brown coins as RB, and predominantly red coins as Rhode. Copper naturally changes color over time due to environmental exposure. A coin that was bright red when it left the mint may gradually become brown as it ages. Collectors often place a premium on coins that retain attractive original red coloration, especially at high grades. For a 1978 cent, an uncirculated coin with strong original luster and red color can be more desirable than a worn example. The highest quality pieces are typically evaluated by professional grading services. A certified grade can provide collectors with greater confidence about the condition and authenticity of the coin. Professional grading services examine coins for strike quality, surface preservation, luster, color, and other characteristics. A coin graded MS, meaning mint state, has not circulated. Numerical grades generally range from MS 60 upward, with higher grades indicating stronger preservation. Coins that reach extremely high grades can become much scarcer, because even small marks or imperfections can prevent them from achieving top grades. The 1978 cent was produced at multiple U.S. mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced cents without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint produced cents bearing a D mint mark. San Francisco produced proof examples bearing an S mint mark. The mint mark is found on the obverse of the coin near the date. A 1978 Philadelphia cent therefore normally has no mint mark. A 1978 D cent has a small d beneath, or near the date area, indicating production at the Denver Mint. Proof coins from San Francisco have an S mint mark. These proof coins were specially made for collectors and generally have sharper details and more reflective surfaces than ordinary business strike coins. The existence of different mintages does not automatically make one 1978 cent worth millions. A coin's value is determined by the interaction of rarity, condition, demand, and verified market transactions. A common date with a common mint mark can remain inexpensive even after decades have passed. This is where sensational claims about a $259 million 1978 penny must be approached carefully. There is no reliable evidence of a 1978 Lincoln cent selling for $259 million. No publicly documented auction record supports such a price for a normal 1978 cent, or for a known 1978 Lincoln cent era. A claim that a 1978 penny is worth $259 million should therefore be treated as an unverified or exaggerated claim rather than an established market value. This does not mean that valuable 1978 Lincoln cents do not exist. It means that the actual value must be based on the specific coin. A genuine major mint era can be worth much more than face value, but the amount depends on the exact era and the strength of collector demand. A coin with a dramatic off-center strike, a major double strike, a substantial die break, or another authenticated mint era could potentially sell for a substantial premium. The phrase "worth big money" should therefore be understood in context. A rare mint error may be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars in some circumstances, while an exceptionally rare and dramatic error could potentially command even more. But claims of tens or hundreds of millions of dollars require extraordinary evidence, and no such evidence is currently established for a 1978 Lincoln cent. One reason these enormous figures circulate online is that coin videos and social media posts sometimes attach sensational values to ordinary coins. Headlines may claim that a particular penny is worth $10 million, $100 million, or even $259 million. Such claims attract attention because they create the possibility that someone might discover a fortune in an old coin jar. However, the difference between a viral claim and a documented auction sale is enormous. Collectors should always distinguish between an asking price and an actual selling price. Someone can list an ordinary penny online for $259 million, but that does not mean the coin is worth $259 million. The real market value is determined by what knowledgeable buyers are actually willing to pay, preferably supported by documented auction records or comparable verified sales. For anyone who finds a 1978 cent that appears unusual, the best approach is to inspect it carefully. Start with the date. Confirm that the coin is actually dated 1978. Next, examine the mint mark. Determine whether it is a Philadelphia, Denver, or proof issue. Then inspect the coin under magnification. Look closely at the lettering. Examine Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum. Check for unusual doubling, missing letters, distorted lettering, or other abnormalities. However, remember that post-mint damage can create shapes that look like doubling. Examine Lincoln's portrait. Look at the ear, eye, bow tie, hair, beard, and facial features. Dye deterioration can sometimes create unusual appearances. Scratches or dents may also produce lines that are mistaken for design features. The date deserves special attention. Because the date is one of the most important identifying features of a coin, any unusual doubling or distortion around the digits should be carefully examined. However, wear, damage, and machine doubling can make the numbers appear strange. The reverse should also be inspected. Look carefully at the Lincoln Memorial. Examine the columns, steps, lettering, and the area around the building. Genuine mint errors may sometimes be visible in the positioning or strike characteristics of the design. The edge is equally important. A standard 1978 Lincoln cent should have a plain edge. Examine it for unusual flattening, splitting, doubling, or other characteristics. A broad strike or partial collar error may be most obvious when viewed from the edge. Weight can also provide useful information. A standard 1978 bronze Lincoln cent should weigh approximately 3.11 grams when measured on an accurate digital scale. Small differences may occur because of normal production tolerances or wear. A dramatically different weight could indicate a wrong planchette, clipped planchette, or another unusual production error, although damage and environmental factors must also be considered. A wrong planchette error is one of the most fascinating possibilities in coin collecting. It occurs when a coin is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or another type of coin. If a 1978 Lincoln cent were genuinely struck on the wrong planchette, it could be considerably more interesting than a normal cent. Such errors are rare and require expert authentication. A clipped planchette is another possible error. This happens when a portion of the metal strip is missing before the planchette is punched out. The resulting coin may have a curved section missing from its edge. Genuine clips can be identified by specific characteristics, including the shape and appearance of the missing area. However, coins damaged after leaving the mint can also have pieces missing. A person may cut, bend, grind, or otherwise damage a coin, creating an appearance that resembles a mint error. This is why professional authentication is important for high-value claims. Environmental damage is another common source of confusion. A 1978 cent exposed to chemicals, moisture, heat, fire, or other substances can develop unusual colors and textures. A bright blue, green, purple, or black appearance may look rare, but unusual toning does not automatically make a coin valuable. Some natural toning can be desirable, while artificial coloring may reduce value. Cleaning is also a major concern. Many people believe that polishing an old coin will make it more valuable. In reality, cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and reduce collector appeal. Abrasive cleaning can leave visible hairlines, scratches, and unnatural surfaces. If you believe you have discovered a valuable 1978-era coin, it is generally better not to clean or alter it. Keep the coin in a protective holder and seek an opinion from a knowledgeable coin dealer or professional grading and authentication service. For a potentially rare error, expert examination can help determine whether the unusual characteristics were created at the mint or after the coin entered circulation. The history of the Lincoln cent itself adds another layer of interest. Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809, and the original Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909, marking the centennial of his birth. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Lincoln became one of the most recognizable images in American numismatics. The original reverse of the Lincoln cent featured two wheat ears surrounding the denomination and country name. These coins are now known as Lincoln wheat cents. In 1959, the reverse changed to the Lincoln Memorial design. The 1978 cent therefore belongs to the Lincoln Memorial era. The Lincoln Memorial design was used for nearly 50 years. It became one of the most familiar reverse designs in American coinage. The memorial itself is significant because Lincoln's legacy is closely connected with the preservation of the Union and the abolition of slavery during the American Civil War. The words e pluribus unum mean out of many, one. The motto reflects the idea of unity among the states of the United States. In God We Trust is the national motto displayed on the obverse. Liberty represents the foundational concept of freedom. United States of America identifies the issuing nation, while 1 cent identifies the denomination. The symbolism of the coin is therefore much greater than its face value. A single cent may have been used in countless transactions, carried in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, placed in cash registers, or saved in household collections. Every surviving coin has its own journey through American economic and social history. For collectors, the 1978 cent can be a gateway into the broader world of numismatics. It teaches important lessons about condition, rarity, mint marks, errors, varieties, grading, and market demand. A person who begins by searching through a jar of pennies may eventually learn to identify die varieties, recognize genuine mint errors, and understand the importance of certification. The concept of rarity is particularly important. A coin can be old but common, or relatively modern but rare. Age alone does not determine value. A 1978 cent is more than 40 years old, but millions were produced, so most examples remain common. On the other hand, a specific error that occurred only a handful of times can be much scarcer. Condition can also create rarity. Even if millions of 1978 cents were produced, very few may have survived in exceptional condition. High-grade coins with strong red color, excellent surfaces, and sharp strikes can therefore become much more collectible. This is especially true when a coin reaches the highest grades recognized by professional grading services. At those levels, tiny imperfections can separate one grade from another. A coin that appears perfect to the naked eye may still have microscopic marks visible under magnification. For this reason, collectors often use the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. Circulated coins typically receive lower grades, while uncirculated coins receive grades in the mint state range. Proof coins use proof grades. The exact value of a 1978 cent can vary significantly depending on grade and designation. The color designation of a copper cent is also important. A red Lincoln cent can be considerably more desirable than a brown example if the coin is otherwise in comparable condition. Original mint red color suggests that the copper surfaces have remained relatively protected from environmental exposure. A 1978 proof cent can also be collectible. Proof coins are specially struck for collectors, often using polished dies and specially prepared planchets. They are not the same as ordinary circulation strikes. Proof coins may display mirrored fields and frosted design elements, creating a distinctive contrast. A proof coin with a significant error can be particularly interesting. However, ordinary proof coins should not be confused with error coins simply because they look different. The reflective appearance of a proof is intentional and part of the production process. When evaluating the value of a 1978 Lincoln cent, collectors should consider several categories. An ordinary circulated coin is generally worth around face value, unless there is an unusual variety or other collectible feature. Uncirculated examples may bring premiums depending on grade and color. High-grade certified pieces can be worth more. Proof coins have their own market. Genuine mint errors can range from modest premiums to much larger sums depending on rarity and severity. The most important point is that the exact value cannot be determined from the year alone. Saying, "I have a 1978 penny," is not enough to establish a price. You need to know the mint mark, condition, color, variety, error type, and authenticity. A 1978 cent with a small scratch is not necessarily valuable. A 1978 cent with a genuine major mint error could be valuable. A 1978 cent with a unique and dramatic error authenticated by a respected grading service could be highly desirable. The difference lies in the details. For people searching for the legendary $259 million 1978 penny, the most responsible conclusion is that such a value has not been verified. There is no established auction record demonstrating that a 1978 Lincoln cent has sold for $259 million. If a video or article makes this claim, viewers should ask for evidence. Is there a professional grading certification? Is there a documented auction? Is there a reputable numismatic publication supporting the valuation? Is the sale independently verified? Without such evidence, the $259 million figure should not be presented as the current market value of a 1978 Lincoln cent. Nevertheless, the possibility of finding a valuable error remains real. The world of coin collecting contains many examples of coins that were accidentally struck in unusual ways and later became highly prized. The challenge is identifying genuine errors and separating them from damage. A good magnifying glass or digital microscope can help with initial inspection. A precise scale can help identify unusual weight differences. Calipers can help measure diameter. But tools alone cannot authenticate a rare coin. Professional expertise is often required. One of the biggest mistakes new collectors make is assuming that every unusual feature is an error. For example, a coin with a raised line may simply have a die crack, but it could also have a scratch or damage. A coin with apparent doubling may have machine doubling. A coin with missing metal may have been damaged rather than clipped at the mint. The best collectors learn to ask questions. Where is the unusual feature located? Does it affect the entire design? Is the metal displaced in a way consistent with a striking error? Does the error make sense based on how the mint manufactures coins? Is the feature raised or incuse? Does it appear on both sides? Does the weight support the possibility? Can a recognized error expert confirm it? These questions can prevent expensive mistakes. The story of the 1978 Lincoln cent is therefore not simply a story about a coin that might be worth $259 million. It is a story about how ordinary objects can become fascinating pieces of history. A coin that once purchased a small item or contributed to a larger transaction can survive for decades and eventually become an object of study. The 1978 cent also reminds collectors that value is not always obvious. A coin may have little monetary value, but enormous historical interest. Another may be worth more because of its condition. Another may be valuable because of an error that occurred in a fraction of a second during the minting process. The manufacturing process itself is remarkable. Metal strip is prepared to precise specifications, blanks are punched from the strip, and the blanks are processed into planchets. The planchets are then fed into high-speed coining presses. Dies strike the planchette with enormous force, transferring the design onto the metal. The process is designed to produce consistent coins, but with billions of pieces being manufactured, occasional errors can occur. A coin that escapes quality control with a dramatic error can become a fascinating artifact. Collectors may wonder how the coin passed through the production process, how it entered circulation, and how it survived without being noticed. That story of survival can increase the appeal of an error coin. A dramatic off-center cent, for example, may have been handled by many people before someone recognized it as unusual. A wrong planchette cent may have circulated for years before being pulled from change. In the case of the 1978 Lincoln cent, the vast majority of coins are not rare. But that does not mean that searching is pointless. Coin roll hunting, checking old collections, examining inherited jars, and inspecting pocket change can still be enjoyable ways to learn about numismatics. Collectors should be realistic about expectations. Finding a coin worth millions of dollars is extraordinarily unlikely. Viral videos often emphasize the most sensational possibilities, but real-world coin collecting is usually based on careful research and patience. If you find a 1978 cent that appears valuable, do not immediately sell it to the first person who offers money. Research the coin. Photograph both sides. Record its weight. Note the mint mark. Avoid cleaning it. Compare the suspected error with established examples. If the coin appears genuinely unusual, seek professional evaluation. The market value of a coin is ultimately determined by demand. Even a rare error may not command a huge price if collectors do not consider it desirable. Conversely, an error with strong visual appeal and a large collector base can attract intense bidding. Auction results are particularly useful because they show what buyers actually paid. However, auction prices must also be interpreted carefully. A high price may reflect exceptional grade, certification, provenance, or a unique error. It should not automatically be applied to every coin from the same year. This is why the statement that every 1978 penny could be worth $259 million is incorrect. The year alone does not create such a value. A specific coin must possess extraordinary characteristics, and those characteristics must be supported by credible evidence. The weight of approximately 3.11 grams is one of the most useful specifications for a normal 1978 bronze cent. If you discover a coin that weighs dramatically less or more, that may justify further investigation. But weight alone does not prove a valuable error. Coins can lose metal through damage, corrosion, clipping after production, or other causes. The diameter of approximately 19.05 millimeters is another useful measurement. A significantly different diameter can sometimes indicate an unusual striking event or wrong planchette. Again, authentication is essential. The plain edge of the 1978 cent is another identifying feature. Unlike many U.S. denominations that have reeded edges, the Lincoln cent has a smooth edge. An unusual edge appearance may indicate an error or damage, but it should be examined carefully. The 1978 cent also represents a period of transition in American coinage. The 1970s brought economic challenges, inflation, changing metal prices, and increasing production demands. The traditional copper composition of the cent was becoming more expensive to maintain, and by 1982 the mint transitioned to copper-plated zinc for regular Lincoln cents. This makes 1978 part of an important chapter in the history of the American cent. The coin may be ordinary in appearance, but it belongs to the final years of a long tradition of bronze Lincoln cents. For collectors, the design itself remains attractive. Lincoln's portrait is instantly recognizable. The Lincoln Memorial reverse combines architecture, national symbolism, and historical remembrance. The inscriptions communicate ideas of liberty, unity, faith, and national identity. The coin's small size makes these details even more impressive. The mint managed to place a substantial amount of symbolism onto a coin measuring only about 19 millimeters across. A close examination, under magnification, can reveal the craftsmanship of the design. The fine details in Lincoln's hair, the lettering around the rim, the columns of the memorial, and the tiny initials of the designer all contribute to the coin's character. Collectors sometimes become fascinated by the designer initials. Victor David Brenner's initials, VDB, are historically famous because of the controversy surrounding their placement on the original 1909 Lincoln cent. Frank Gasparo's initials, FG, appear on the Lincoln Memorial reverse. These small marks connect the coin to the artists and designers responsible for its appearance. The date 1978 also has a cultural context. It was a period when the United States was experiencing major social and economic changes. The Lincoln cent circulated through grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, and countless everyday transactions. A 1978 penny could have traveled through multiple states and communities during its lifetime. Some coins may have been saved immediately because they were new. Others may have remained in circulation for decades. Some could have been stored in jars or collections. Their individual histories are impossible to know, which adds to the fascination. The possibility of a mint error introduces another layer. Imagine a coin that left the mint with a dramatic error and then disappeared into circulation. Perhaps it was received as change, placed in a drawer, forgotten, and later discovered decades afterward. That kind of story is part of what makes error collecting exciting. Still, collectors must remain cautious about exaggerated valuations. A dramatic story does not automatically create a $259 million coin. The market needs evidence. When a coin is claimed to be worth millions, the first question should always be, has it actually sold for that amount? A listing is not a sale. An online estimate is not a sale. A social media claim is not a sale. A video title is not a sale. A documented transaction is much stronger evidence. Even then, the circumstances matter. Was the coin professionally graded? Was it a unique error? Was the sale conducted by a major auction house? Were multiple serious bidders involved? These factors help establish a credible market value. For the 1978 Lincoln cent, no credible evidence supports a $259 million current market value. Therefore, the responsible valuation approach is to describe the coin according to its actual characteristics rather than repeating an unsupported figure. The ordinary 1978 cent remains a low-denomination collectible, often close to face value in circulated condition. Better uncirculated examples may bring premiums. Proof examples have collector value. High-grade certified coins can be more valuable. Genuine errors can be worth substantially more, with the most dramatic examples potentially commanding strong prices. The exact price of an error depends on its type. A minor off-center strike may have limited value. A major off-center strike with the date visible may be much more desirable. A dramatic double strike may command a premium. A wrong planchette error could be especially significant. A major die break or cud can attract collectors specializing in die varieties. The coin's appearance also matters. A visually obvious error is often more appealing than a subtle one. Collectors enjoy coins where the mistake can be understood immediately by looking at the piece. The preservation of the coin is equally important. An error coin that is heavily scratched, corroded, or damaged may still be collectible, but its value can be lower than an equivalent error in excellent condition. This is why collectors should store coins carefully. Avoid touching the surfaces unnecessarily. Hold the coin by the edges. Use appropriate holders designed for numismatic storage. Keep coins away from harsh chemicals, humidity, and extreme environmental conditions. Never polish a potentially valuable coin. Even if the coin looks dirty, cleaning can permanently alter the surface. Professional graders can identify cleaning, and a cleaned coin may receive a details designation rather than a normal numerical grade. If you suspect a rare 1978 cent, documentation can be useful. Take clear photographs under good lighting. Photograph the obverse and reverse. Take close-ups of the suspected error. Photograph the edge if relevant. Record the weight and measurements. Keep notes about where the coin was found. This information can help a dealer or authentication service evaluate the coin. The Internet can also be useful for research, but it must be used carefully. Search for established numismatic references, auction archives, professional grading resources, and recognized error specialists. Avoid relying entirely on sensational social media videos. A valuable lesson from the 1978 cent is that knowledge is often more important than luck. Someone who understands minting processes can quickly recognize whether a feature deserves attention. Someone who does not understand these processes may mistake damage for a rare error. For example, a coin may have a curved missing section and appear to be a clipped planchette. But if the edge shows signs of post-mint cutting, the feature may be damaged. A true clipped planchette has characteristics that result from the manufacturing process, and experts know what to look for. Similarly, a coin with apparent doubling may simply show machine doubling. True double dies have specific characteristics related to the die creation process. Understanding these distinctions is essential. The 1978 Lincoln cent therefore makes an excellent educational coin. It teaches collectors to examine details rather than rely on headlines. It also demonstrates why professional certification can be valuable. A reputable grading service can authenticate the coin, assign a condition grade, and document major error characteristics when appropriate. Certification does not automatically make a coin valuable, but it can provide confidence and make the coin easier to sell in the collector marketplace. If a 1978 cent is suspected of being a major error, certification can be especially important. Buyers may be reluctant to pay a substantial amount for an uncertified coin if the claimed error is difficult to verify. In some cases, a specialist in mint errors may provide an additional opinion. Error collectors often develop deep expertise in the mechanics of coin production and can recognize characteristics that casual observers might overlook. The market for error coins is also influenced by rarity. If only a handful of examples are known, collectors may compete strongly. If hundreds or thousands of similar examples exist, the premium may be lower. This is why a specific error's population matters. Professional grading services may track how many examples have been certified, although the total number in existence may be higher because not every coin has been submitted for grading. A coin's provenance can also affect interest. If a valuable error has a documented history, especially if it appeared in a major auction or famous collection, collectors may consider that additional information valuable. However, provenance alone does not transform an ordinary coin into a $259 million rarity. The underlying coin still needs to be genuinely rare and desirable. The idea of discovering a fortune in a penny is undeniably exciting. People have found valuable coins in pocket change and old collections. But the most successful collectors combine enthusiasm with skepticism. If someone claims that a 1978 penny is worth $259 million, ask for proof. If someone says a coin is worth millions because of a mysterious error, ask whether the error has been authenticated. If someone says a coin is rare because it is old, remember that age alone does not determine rarity. The 1978 Lincoln cent is a perfect example of why coin collecting requires careful research. Most examples are ordinary. Some are nicer than others. A small number may contain unusual characteristics. A very small number may contain significant mint errors. That hierarchy is important. The coin's face value is 1 cent. Its collectible value can be higher. Its value as an error coin can be significantly higher. But the claim of $259 million is not supported by credible market evidence. Collectors should therefore approach the 1978 cent with realistic expectations while still appreciating its potential. You may not find a $259 million coin, but you might find a genuine error that is worth far more than 1 cent. More importantly, you may discover an interesting piece of American history. The 1978 Lincoln cent is a reminder that ordinary objects can preserve extraordinary stories. It represents American history, industrial manufacturing, artistic design, economics, and the evolution of the nation's coinage system. Its obverse honors Abraham Lincoln, whose presidency shaped the United States during one of its most difficult periods. Its reverse honors the Lincoln Memorial and reflects the nation's remembrance of his legacy. Its inscriptions communicate ideas that have appeared on American coins for generations. The coin's physical specifications also tell a story. Its approximately 3.11 gram weight and approximately 19.05 mm diameter reflect the standardized manufacturing process of the era. Its bronze composition places it within the final years of the traditional copper Lincoln cent before the transition to copper-plated zinc. The 1978 cent may not be worth $259 million, but its historical importance is genuine. Its potential as an era coin is genuine. Its place in the Lincoln cent series is genuine. If you have a 1978 penny, examine it carefully. Check the mint mark. Check the weight. Check the condition. Look for genuine striking abnormalities. Compare unusual features with trusted references. Avoid cleaning the coin. If the evidence suggests a real mint error, consider professional authentication. And remember, the most valuable coin is not necessarily the oldest coin. Sometimes it is the coin with the rarest mistake. The thrill of collecting comes from the search. Every roll of coins, every inherited jar, every old collection offers the possibility of discovery. Most finds will be ordinary, but the process of examining them can teach you something about history and craftsmanship. A 1978 Lincoln cent, with a genuine error, can certainly be worth more than face value. The amount may range from a modest premium to potentially significant sums depending on the error, condition, rarity, and demand. But a confirmed $259 million market value is not established. The best way to think about the 1978 Lincoln cent is therefore not as a guaranteed fortune, but as a coin with possibilities. It is a common coin that can become uncommon through an unusual minting event. It is a small object that carries a large historical story. It is a piece of American currency that has survived for decades and can still inspire curiosity today. The next time you see a 1978 penny, do not automatically throw it into a jar or dismiss it as worthless. Look closely. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Study the design. Weigh it if necessary. Inspect the edge. Look for genuine errors. Learn the difference between a mint error and damage. But also remember to separate fact from fiction. If a coin is claimed to be worth $259 million, the burden of proof is enormous. Such a valuation would require extraordinary documentation, a verified sale, and overwhelming evidence of exceptional rarity. Without those things, the claim remains speculation. The real value of the 1978 Lincoln cent lies in its combination of history, design, manufacturing technology, and the possibility of discovering an unusual example. Most coins are worth little more than their face value, but some can become valuable because of condition or errors. That is the lesson every collector should take away. Do not search only for a giant price tag. Search for knowledge. Search for genuine rarity. Search for history. Learn how coins are made, how errors occur, how grading works, and how the market determines value. A 1978 cent may have passed through thousands of hands before reaching you. It may have been carried in a pocket in 1978, placed into a cash register, stored in a bank, returned as change, and eventually forgotten in a box. If it contains a genuine mint error, that small mistake may have survived unnoticed for decades. And that is what makes coin collecting so fascinating. The 1978 Lincoln cent is a product of American history and American manufacturing. Its design honors one of the nation's most important presidents. Its reverse celebrates the Lincoln Memorial. Its inscriptions represent national ideals. Its bronze composition connects it to a disappearing chapter of U.S. coinage. Its ordinary examples are common, but unusual examples deserve attention. A genuine error can transform a common coin into a collectible. A rare error can transform it into a highly sought-after piece. An exceptional coin can attract serious collectors and competitive bidding. But the truth matters. There is no confirmed evidence that a 1978 Lincoln cent has a current market value of $259 million. That number should not be presented as a verified selling price. Instead, collectors should evaluate each individual coin based on its actual characteristics. If you discover a 1978 cent with an unusual appearance, remember the most important steps. Do not clean it, do not alter it, examine it carefully, weigh it accurately, photograph it clearly, research the suspected error, and seek professional authentication if the coin appears genuinely rare. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a valuable collectible may be only a few millimeters of metal, a slight misalignment, a broken die, a wrong planchette, or an unusual striking event. But identifying that difference requires knowledge. That is why the 1978 Lincoln cent remains worth studying. Even if your coin is not worth millions, it may still be an important part of the history of American coinage. And if you are fortunate enough to discover a genuine error, you may have found something that is truly collectible. The search continues with every coin. Look carefully, learn continuously, and never let an exaggerated price claim replace real numismatic evidence. The most exciting discoveries are the ones that can be verified. The 1978 Lincoln cent may never have a documented $259 million sale, but it remains a fascinating coin, with a rich history, recognizable design, important symbolism, and the potential for unusual mint errors. For collectors, that is more than enough reason to examine one closely. Because sometimes, the real treasure is not the number printed in a sensational headline. It is the story hidden in the coin itself.